Public speaking is an art form, but few have mastered it with the grace, wit, and spiritual depth. Fulton J. Sheen, a man whose words carried the weight of wisdom and the fire of conviction, Sheen captivated audiences not only through his eloquence, but through the authenticity that radiated from his every sentence. What made him stand out was not just his command of language, but his ability to connect deeply with his listeners, transforming speeches into moments of genuine inspiration. In this essay, we dive into the timeless principles that guided Sheen's speaking mastery, uncovering the lessons that continue to resonate in the world of communication today. When standing in front of an audience, many people make a very common mistake. They become different from their true selves. Tone changes, their posture shifts, and they seem to transform into a distant version of themselves in an attempt to deliver a flawless speech. But according to Fulton Sheen, this is the biggest error a speaker can make. For Sheen, public speaking is not about striving for perfection. It's about maintaining naturalness and authenticity. That's where the true power of speech lies. Imagine you are sitting in a hall, listening to a speaker. If that person speaks stiffly, without emotion, would you feel engaged? Most likely, you won't remember much from that speech because it lacks the essential connection with you. Connection that comes from words spoken from the heart, expressed naturally, like a conversation between friends. This is something Sheen understood very well from his early days as a student. Sheen shares that when he was first selected for his college debate team, he was confident in his speaking ability. However, when his coach told him that he was the worst speaker they had ever had, Sheen realized that the ability to think and the ability to convey those thoughts are two completely different things. Sheen had a sharp mind, but his delivery lacked naturalness and felt distant. This became a turning point and the first lesson Sheen learned on his path to becoming an excellent speaker. Naturalness is the key to opening the door to connection with the audience. Why is naturalness so important? Because when you speak naturally, the audience doesn't just hear your words. They feel your presence, your beliefs, your emotions, and the sincerity behind your message. It's as if you're inviting them to embark on a journey with you, where they are not just passive listeners, but active participants. At that moment, you're not just speaking, you're communicating with both your soul and intellect. Fulton Sheen didn't just recognize this, he turned it into a foundational principle of his communication style. Don't change when you step in front of the public. Stay true to your natural self, and the audience will feel everything you intend to convey. One of the standout lessons from Fulton Sheen's approach to public speaking is the importance of thorough preparation. However, what makes Sheen's method truly remarkable is how he transforms that preparation into a source of flexibility and spontaneity. Unlike many speakers who meticulously write out every word of their speech, Sheen took a different approach. He would only jot down key points, and then, in a bold move, tear up his notes, forcing himself to internalize the material and speak from his heart. At first glance, this might seem risky. After all, tearing up your notes might leave you vulnerable to forgetting something important or losing your train of thought. But for Sheen, this was the key to liberating himself from the constraints of a script. By refusing to rely on pre-written words, he trained himself to think on his feet, allowing him to adjust his speech in real time based on the reactions and needs of his audience. This technique didn't just show confidence, it allowed for a more dynamic, engaging presentation, where Sheen could weave in new ideas, respond to the moment, and interact with his listeners in a way that felt authentic and unscripted. The lesson here is clear. True preparation is about mastery, not memorization. When you've truly prepared, when you've immersed yourself in the subject matter, you don't need a script. You become the script. This kind of preparation gives you the freedom to be fluid, to adapt, and to engage in ways that a rigidly planned speech can never allow. Sheen didn't just memorize facts. He created an intellectual atmosphere where ideas flowed naturally, making each talk feel more like a conversation than a formal presentation. Imagine sitting in the audience, watching someone who isn't confined to their notes but is instead speaking with such depth and understanding that they seem to pull ideas from the air around them. This is the power of true preparation. and it's why Sheen was able to captivate his audience time and time again. He didn't just talk to people, connected with them, drawing from a reservoir of knowledge he had carefully built, and sharing it in a way that felt spontaneous yet profound. Fulton Sheen's method of tearing up his notes was not a reckless act, but rather a bold statement about the kind of speaker he aspired to be. One who had internalized his message so deeply that it became a part of him. Preparation gave him the confidence to be free and the freedom to be creative, a lesson that any speaker or anyone seeking to communicate effectively can learn from. Sincerity, the bedrock of trust and persuasion. Among all the principles Fulton Sheen emphasized, perhaps none was as important as sincerity. To Sheen, sincerity wasn't just a quality that made a speaker likable, it was the very foundation of effective communication. Without it, a speech, no matter how well prepared or eloquently delivered, falls flat. The audience may hear the words, but they won't feel them. Sheen understood that true connection comes not from mere articulation, but from the depth of belief behind the words. In one of his memorable anecdotes, Sheen reflected on the origin of the word sincere. He recounted how, in ancient Rome, craftsmen would sometimes fill imperfections in marble statues with wax to make them appear flawless. However, the most prized statues were labeled sin cera, meaning without wax, perfect and pure in their natural state. Sheen drew a powerful parallel between these statues and public speaking. A sincere speaker is one who is unvarnished, who doesn't try to mask their imperfections or hide behind pretense. They present themselves as they truly are, genuine and honest. But why is sincerity so critical? Sheen believed that audiences have an innate ability to detect when a speaker is being authentic. They may not always remember every fact or detail of a speech. They will remember how the speaker made them feel. And when a speaker's words are backed by genuine belief, that feeling is one of trust. The audience isn't just hearing information, they're being persuaded, emotionally engaged, and led to reflect on what is being said. Consider for a moment what it feels like to listen to someone who speaks from the heart. There's a certain gravitas in their words, a weight that cannot be faked. The audience may not know all the technical details, but they instinctively recognize when the speaker is fully committed to their message. This is the essence of what Sheen preached. Sincerity turns a speech into more than just an exchange of information. It transforms it into a personal experience, one that resonates deeply with the listener. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with noise, speeches, advertisements, and messages that often feel superficial, sincerity cuts through. It reaches us at a core human level. And Sheen knew this well. His speeches weren't just well-rehearsed performances. They were extensions of his beliefs, his values, and his character. When a speaker is sincere, their words carry the undeniable ring of truth. And truth, when spoken with conviction, has the power to change minds and move hearts. Fulton Sheen's lesson on sincerity is timeless. If you want to be a truly effective speaker or communicator of any kind, you must first believe in what you are saying. Authenticity cannot be manufactured. It comes from knowing your message deeply, feeling it genuinely, and delivering it without pretense or artifice. The most powerful speeches are those where the words and the person behind them are inseparable, where the message is a reflection of the speaker's own inner truth. Humor and flexibility, turning adversity into opportunity. Public speaking is often seen as a performance where precision and control are paramount. But Fulton Sheen understood something more profound. The ability to adapt to the unexpected is what sets great speakers apart from the good ones. No matter how well prepared a speaker may be, unplanned moments, whether it's forgetting a line, technical issues, or audience reactions, are inevitable. How a speaker handles these moments can make all the difference. For Sheen, humor and flexibility were not just strategies. They were essential tools in transforming adversity into opportunity. Sheen was no stranger to such unpredictable moments, and one of his most memorable stories is about a speech he gave in Ireland. During that speech, he began reciting a poem that he knew by heart. Halfway through, he forgot the next line. Imagine the pressure, standing in front of an eager audience, mid-speech, and suddenly the words disappear from your memory. Many would have panicked or tried to cover up the mistake, But Sheen, with his characteristic poise, acknowledged the mistake with humor, telling the audience he had forgotten the lines. This candid admission could have been a disaster for a less skilled speaker, but Sheen turned it into a moment of connection. By admitting his human error and injecting humor into the situation, he disarmed the tension in the room. Instead of seeing it as a failure, the audience saw it as a genuine and relatable moment. In that vulnerability, Sheen didn't lose credibility. He gained it. His ability to laugh at himself and carry on showed the audience that he was just like them. Imperfect, confident enough to embrace the imperfection. The lesson here is simple yet profound. Perfection is not required for effective communication. In fact, the imperfections, the unexpected slips, the moments where things don't go as planned, often provide the richest opportunities to connect with the audience. When a speaker can laugh at themselves and maintain composure in the face of mistakes, they become more relatable, more human. The audience isn't just watching a performance anymore. They are witnessing an authentic interaction, one that feels spontaneous and genuine. Humor plays a crucial role in this. Sheen understood that a well-placed joke, especially when it's directed at oneself, has the power to diffuse tension and build rapport. It's a way of saying to the audience, "I'm not here to impress you with my perfection. I'm here to share something real with you." And in those moments, the connection between speaker and listener deepens. The audience doesn't just respect the speaker, they start rooting for them. But beyond humor, flexibility is key. Sheen's ability to roll with the punches, to adapt in real time to whatever challenges arose, was a hallmark of his speaking style. This flexibility came from his deep preparation. Because he didn't rely on memorizing a rigid script, Sheen could pivot easily when something went awry. His talks weren't confined to a strict set of lines. They were dynamic conversations, shaped by the energy in the room and the moment itself. In a world where many fear public speaking because of the possibility of making mistakes, Sheen's approach is liberating. He showed that mistakes are not the enemy. They are an opportunity. A true speaker is not someone who never falters, but someone who knows how to turn faltering into a chance to connect more deeply with their audience. Fire and light, the symbiotic power of truth and passion. In the realm of public speaking, there are few metaphors more potent than the one Fulton Sheen used to describe the heart of a powerful speech: fire and light. According to Sheen, every effective speech must have these two essential elements working together. The light represents the truth, clarity of the message being conveyed, while the fire symbolizes the passion, the emotional intensity that drives the speaker and in turn ignites the audience. Why this comparison? Sheen understood that a speech without truth is hollow, lacking the substance to resonate with people's minds. But at the same time, truth alone is not enough. It must be delivered with fire, an inner conviction and passion that makes the audience feel the weight of what's being said. This blend of truth and passion is what allows a speech to transcend mere information delivery and become a transformative experience for the listener. Imagine sitting in a room, listening to someone speak about a topic they deeply believe in. Their words are not just accurate, they are alive, burning with the heat of their commitment. You can feel their energy, their belief, their urgency. That fire is contagious. When you hear a speaker who is truly passionate, it stirs something within you. You don't just understand their message intellectually, you feel it on an emotional and even visceral level. For Sheen, this was the secret to moving an audience. Fire and light are inseparable. If you have only one of these elements, the speech falters. Cold delivery of facts may enlighten the audience, but it won't inspire them. Likewise, a speech filled with raw emotion but lacking in solid truth may stir emotions, but will leave the audience without something substantial to hold on to. It's the balance of the two, clarity of truth and the intensity of passion, that gives a speech its power. This principle can be applied to every type of communication, not just public speaking. In our daily lives, when we wish to persuade or move others, we must first believe in the truth of our message. If we are not convinced ourselves, how can we expect anyone else to be? But beyond that, we must also convey that truth with passion. We must be on fire with the belief that what we are saying matters, not just to us, but to those we are speaking to. Fulton Sheen lived by this principle. When he spoke about his faith, it was clear that he wasn't just reciting doctrines or teaching from a detached intellectual standpoint. He was living what he preached. His speeches were imbued with an unmistakable zeal, fervor that made his audience sit up, take notice, and feel the same passion he felt. This is why Sheen's speeches were more than just sermons. They were moments of deep connection, where the audience didn't just listen, they experienced the truth he was sharing. Fire and light are the soul of any great speech. Without truth, there is no substance. Without passion, there is no movement. Fulton Sheen's mastery lay in his ability to balance both, creating speeches that were as enlightening as they were inspiring. He didn't just speak to the mind, he spoke to the heart. In doing so, he moved people in ways that few speakers ever do. For those of us striving to communicate effectively, Sheen's message is clear. Know your truth and burn with it. Let your passion be the vehicle that delivers that truth, and in doing so, you will not only inform your audience, you will transform them. Spiritual foundations, the divine power behind public speaking. For Fulton Sheen, public speaking was never merely a technical exercise. It was a spiritual vocation. At the core of his approach to oratory was the belief that true power in public speaking comes from a higher source. Sheen was a man of deep faith, and he understood that the ability to influence, to inspire, and to move an audience didn't just come from preparation or skill. It came from a divine connection, from spiritual discipline. In his eyes, the most effective communication was not only crafted with the mind, but was also deeply rooted in the soul. Sheen often spoke of the importance of prayer before delivering a speech. For him, prayer wasn't just a formality. It was the act of drawing strength, clarity, and inspiration from God. It was a way to align his message with a higher purpose and ensure that his words carried the weight of something greater than himself. Sheen believed that great orators don't just speak. They channel a message from above, and the humility to seek divine guidance was key to unlocking this power. Imagine for a moment that you are about to give a speech, standing before an eager audience, knowing that the words you speak may influence, guide, or even change the lives of those listening. For Sheen, the magnitude of that responsibility could only be approached with reverence and faith. He believed that to move hearts and minds, a speaker must first be grounded in something beyond personal ambition or intellect. The words must come from a place of deep truth, one that transcends the speaker's own limited perspective. Sheen famously referred to this connection as drawing from fires stolen from heaven. It's a powerful metaphor, suggesting that the greatest speeches, those that truly leave a lasting impact, are infused with divine fire. This fire, once stolen or borrowed from the divine, allows the speaker to communicate with an authority and passion that no amount of rehearsal or technical expertise can replicate. It is this divine inspiration that separates the merely competent speakers from the truly great one. The fire that burns in the heart of a speaker must be lit by something higher than themselves. And for Sheen, that source was God. In a world where public speaking is often treated as a skill to be mastered through techniques and strategies, Sheen's emphasis on the spiritual dimension offers a refreshing perspective. He reminds us that true oratory is about more than mastering the mechanics of communication. It's about speaking from the depths of one's soul, with a sense of purpose that transcends the self. It's about recognizing that our words have the power to heal, inspire, and transform, not because of our own abilities, but because we are conduits of something far greater. Sheen's speeches were not just performances. They were acts of spiritual service. His preparation involved more than research and practice. It involved prayer, reflection, and a deep sense of responsibility to the divine. When he spoke, he wasn't simply trying to convey information or persuade an audience. He was delivering a message that he believed was entrusted to him by God. And this gave his words a sense of gravity and power few others could match. For those of us who aspire to be effective communicators, Sheen's message is clear. Truly move an audience, we must first seek inspiration from a higher source. Whether it's through prayer, meditation, or quiet reflection, we must connect with the deeper truths that guide our lives. Only then can we speak with the kind of authority, passion, and sincerity that resonates with the hearts and minds of others. In conclusion, Sheen's approach to public speaking was not just about delivering a message, it was about embodying a message. His words were imbued with spiritual fire, and because of that, they had the power to light a fire in those who listened. For Sheen, greatest speeches were not just informative or entertaining. They were transformative because they were rooted in the divine.